What's up? I'm travel photographer Brendan Vanson of brendansadventures.com, and on this episode I'm going to walk you through my photography gear for the Galapagos Islands. So I'm actually just back from the Galapagos Islands, although this is my first video from the islands. And I thought I'd walk you through my photography gear because as somebody who's been to the Galapagos Islands before, I think the question I always get asked is, what photography gear should I pack to the islands? And it's a valid question. It's not, it's not obvious. So I'm going to walk you through that criteria on this episode. And I'm going to start off by saying that this might not be for everyone. This is my photography gear, and I shoot a certain style. I like to shoot a certain way, and other people might pack something completely different. That said, I think this is the standard kit. This is what you're going to need to shoot the Galapagos Islands really well. As a professional or as a hobbyist, this is the kit you're probably going to want to bring, or something similar to this kit. So let's get into this right away, starting with the body. So I'm bringing my Canon 6D. Now let me tell you right away, this isn't the ideal lens for the Galapagos Islands because it's wildlife. You want something probably like the 5D that has more autofocus points. The 6D is a full frame camera, and it's gonna do the trick for me because in the Galapagos Islands, the animals really don't move that much. So you can shoot and reframe, but with only one cross type autofocus point on the 6D, it does make it a challenge. And I do wish I had a 5D or even a 7D Mark II for wildlife photography somewhere like the Galapagos Islands. That said, the 6D is gonna do the trick. I've also got a 60D filming this video right now, and so that's going to be my backup. And what I'm going to do is probably have a wide angle lens on the 60D and the zoom lens or the telephoto lens on the 6D. So speaking of the lenses, let's get to those. So on the 6D, I have the 16 to 35 millimeter lens, which is a wide angle zoom lens. Now, everybody talks about the wildlife in the Galapagos Islands, but what they forget is that the landscapes are absolutely stunning and mind-blowing. Now, one of the tricky things to the Galapagos Islands is that you're really not allowed to be on there on the island sunrise or sunset. On my trip, I got special permission to shoot some landscapes, but even if you're shooting in the middle of the day, you are going to be able to get cool wide angle images. So be sure to pack a wide angle lens. It doesn't need to be ultra wide. Like I have 16 to 35 for a full frame. If you're using a crop sensor, maybe an 18 to 50 or 18 to 55. If you're using a full frame, a 24 to 70 will also do the trick. I really didn't feel like I needed 16 millimeters very much at all. The lens that you're definitely going to want for the Galapagos Islands is a telephoto, and I would highly recommend bringing a zoomed telephoto. Like I have the 70 to 200 f2.8, and this lens will do the trick on a full frame sensor or a crop sensor camera body. That being said, I went out and asked Canon if they would lend me a little bit longer a lens, so they lent me the brand new, or the fairly new, 100 to 400 millimeter. And this is an f4.5 to 5.6, meaning that at 100 millimeters, the fastest aperture is 4.5, and at 400, the fastest aperture is 5.6. That being said, a lot of people might be concerned that it's slow, but you're outdoors in the Galapagos Islands. You don't need f2.8 with this lens out on the Galapagos Islands. In fact, I found myself shooting around 6.3 to 8 most of the time. So that's the truth of this. This lens is fast enough for the Galapagos Islands. Alternative lenses to this lens might be like the Sigma, run something like a, 150 to 500 lens, something like that. That might be an alternative that would also do the trick. Of course, the 70 to 200 would also do the trick as well, but I found myself wanting about 300 millimeters. I wouldn't say I needed 400 millimeters, but I definitely needed 300. So anything 100 to 300 in that range is going to be a fantastic telephoto lens for you for the Galapagos Islands. Again, that zoom is really important because yes, you could be packing around a 400 millimeter prime lens f4 or 5.6 or 300 millimeter f2.8, something like that. But it really means that you're going to have to be moving around and you're going to be limited in your creativity, I guess. You're always going to have that focal length. You're always going to be stuck with that focal length. This gives you a little bit more flexibility. It means that you're not changing lenses very often on the islands. And yeah, having flexibility on the Galapagos Islands is absolutely essential. The final lens I'm packing is the one that's filming this video right now, and that's a Sigma 10 to 20 millimeter, and that's for the crop sensor. So that's my backup if something goes wrong with the 60D and the 16 to 35 millimeter, I have that as well. It also gives me flexibility, again, to walk around with two bodies and two camera lenses. I can put the 10 to 20 millimeter lens on the 60D, have it slung over my shoulder, while having the 60 with 100 to 400 millimeter. And that means I don't have to change lenses when I'm out in the field. I can shoot wildlife right here and then be like, you know what, I want a wide shot, and without having to change lenses, without having to waste that time, I can just pick up my other camera and fire. So I think what I learned on this trip in the Galapagos Islands in terms of camera gear, bodies and lenses, is that you need flexibility, you need versatility, and having two camera bodies and two lenses will do the trick. If you don't have two camera bodies, I really think that you can get away with just one camera body and two lenses. For a camera body, you probably want a full frame, something like an ultra wide or a standard wide angle zoom like a 24 to 105 or 16 to 35. And then a telephoto, something like 70 to 200 or 70 to 300, or the brand new 100 to 400 by Canon, which I have to mention is I absolutely love this lens. And though Canon just lent it to me for the week, I'm gonna buy it when I get enough money to buy it, or when I get home, because lenses are expensive in South America. So I absolutely love this lens, and if you are going to the Galapagos Islands, I would consider the 100 to 400. Let's talk about some other gear. This is my GoPro Hero 3 Plus. I packed this around and it was essential, not for shooting photos on the island, but you do a lot of snorkeling, and I think one of the things they don't tell you about the Galapagos Islands is how much time you spend in the water and how amazing the snorkeling is. You have like sea lions whipping around you. You have like sea turtles if you're lucky. There's beautiful schools of fish, beautiful coral. And having a GoPro was fantastic for being underwater. It meant I didn't need to rent or borrow or buy huge camera housing for the DSLR. The GoPro Hero 3 Plus was fantastic for the underwater photography and video. I think having something similar to this is essential for the Galapagos Islands, because you do spend a lot of time in the water and a lot of time shooting in the water as well. Let's get to the tripod. That's the next big thing. A lot of people are kind of like tripod versus monopod in the Galapagos Islands, and I say, why not have both? This is my three-legged thing, Brian Blue tripod, which I've reviewed before, and it is the most versatile tripod in the world, and I absolutely love my three-legged thing tripod. So why I love this for the Galapagos Islands is because it's versatile. As I mentioned, everything in the Galapagos Islands, you want the versatility. You can use a tripod if you need stability because you're really low light, or if you want to be a little bit more more able to kind of jump around and move around. It also breaks off one of the legs, which is this one, and turns into a monopod. So you can take this off. I have a second head that I can just pop right on this and use this as a monopod. And I think in the Galapagos Islands, I shot the tripod mostly for my landscape photos, the long exposure photos, and I shot the monopod for the wildlife almost exclusively. So if you're just shooting wildlife, you probably want to bring, definitely want to bring a monopod, and you'll probably want to bring a tripod as well, just in case there's some low light situations. But again, make sure the gear you're packing is versatile, something that can do like a lot of different tasks and can pack down small, because when you're out walking around on the islands, you don't want to be packing tons and tons of gear. Essentially, you want just your tripod and your camera and your accessories if you can. You don't want to be packing a tripod and a monopod and something else. So pack light, pack versatile. In terms of accessories, there's probably 4 accessories that you need to bring for the Galapagos Islands. The first is memory cards. You're going to be shooting a ton of images, like a ton of images. I'm a professional shooter, which means I tend to shoot less images than hobbyists. Hobbyists tend to overshoot things a little bit, and I still shot in just 4 days 2,000 still images. I shot about 64 gigabytes worth of photos, or maybe even a bit more than that. So I have my laptop with me so I can dump files, but if you don't pack a laptop or something like that, you do need to bring a lot of memory cards. You also want to bring fast memory cards, things that are at least 35 megabytes per second, probably more than that. That can read at 35 megabytes per second, because a lot of the wildlife you're going to be wanting to shoot on burst mode, and if you're shooting 5 or 6 or 7 images in a row on a slow memory card, the buffer is going to fill up and you're going to stop shooting. So fast memory cards, bring lots of them. I'd say probably want about 32 gigabytes of memory per day, depending on the file sizes of your camera. 32 to 40 gigabytes worth of photos a day. That's probably what you want to bring. The other major thing you want to bring is batteries. I'm lucky that I shoot Canon DSLRs, and the EP E6 battery lasts about 1,000 stills when you're shooting wildlife. So I'd go through 1 battery a day. On the boats, there's recharging capability, so you could get away with just 1 camera battery, but you're constantly charging. I brought 3 batteries, and that was about perfect for me. If you're shooting something that's, you know, that burns batteries really quick, something like one of the new Sony cameras, the guys that were shooting the Sony A7 on the team with us, they were changing batteries about 3 batteries a day. They were going through about 3 batteries a day. So if you're shooting Sony batteries, Sony A7, something like that, I'd say bring 4 or 5 batteries at minimum. The other accessories I'm bringing are filters. Now, this isn't going to be for everybody because most people can't shoot on the landscapes, but if you can, or if you plan to shoot the landscapes of the Galapagos Islands a little bit, you'll want to bring a filter system. This is my filter system that I hate, and I'm going to upgrade when I get home, but it's my filter holder, and then here in my filter case I have a 2-stop hard edge grad ND, I've got a 4-stop soft grad ND, and I've got a 6-stop little stopper ND, which is meant to slow down the shutters and get kind of smooth waters or moving skies. So that's my landscape photography kit. The filters are essential for the landscapes in the Galapagos, I believe. So that's it. That's the gear that I'm packing into the Galapagos Islands. Again, I think it's all about versatility with the Galapagos Islands. I think it's all about underpacking. It's easy to go, I'm going to the freaking Galapagos Islands. I need to pack 17 lenses and 4 camera bodies and time-lapse equipment and 3 tripods and this and that. But you can't be shooting all those things at once. So what you do want is you want versatility. You want a camera body that does everything. You want a zoom telephoto. You want a wide-angle zoom and a good tripod that can be versatilely used as a monopod as well. And you're set. It's really a small kit for the Galapagos Islands, which is absolutely fantastic. I think if you were to ask me, like, what is the bare bones I could bring, I would tell you it's this right here that I've got here. A full frame camera, a super wide angle, and a telephoto zoom, and a GoPro. That's it. That's all you need. And the monopod or tripod. That's all you need. You really can fit all of that kit for the Galapagos Islands here. It's a tiny kit, so don't overpack for the Galapagos Islands, especially when you're camera gear. Be versatile and enjoy it. The Galapagos Islands are mind-boggling. It's just unbelievable. You get really close to the animals, you get beautiful landscapes, and you're definitely gonna get killer images. Even if you just take an iPhone, you're gonna get really cool photos because the Galapagos Islands are that special. So that's it from this episode. I'm off to the Galapagos Islands. As I mentioned, I was there for 4 days, and I'll have 4 videos from the Galapagos Islands. It's gonna be on-location videos day 1, day 2, day 3, and 4. And then I'm also gonna have an on-location review of this 100 to 400 millimeter lens by Canon, which I absolutely loved, and I can't wait till I own one myself. So be sure to stay tuned to the channel, not only for that, but after the Galapagos Islands, I'm back to Colombia for an episode, and then I'm off to Cuba. And I'm so stoked for Cuba, and I'm gonna be in Cuba for 20 days, so there's gonna be a ton of cool stuff coming from Cuba. So be sure to stay tuned to the channel. I'll catch you next time. Peace.